what would be that uniqueness that you bring as a woman leader?
I see myself first as a human being. I would say, as a woman leader, I still don't see myself like that very clearly.
And you said, then I need to do something totally different. And you totally transformed. And that is what that Project Shakti was all about. And then the Remiges technology was all about. It was like a beautiful transformation and evolution. I'll never forget that.
Shri, you didn't give me much choice. Let's be very honest.
Hello, friends. Here I am back with the next episode for the CEO Effect. And we have not just a friend of mine, not just a person whom I admire, but CEO of Remiges Technologies, the bold and beautiful Shraddha Tanawala, a person whom I have admired, I've learned, and who has inspired me, and who has always broken barriers, broken the myths that we have associated with women in leadership, and how we have evolved as leaders. And I am super excited to interview her and to bring her knowledge to all of you. And I'm sure that you're also going to enjoy this show. So here we are. Welcome to the CEO Effect podcast, Shraddha. It's
Hi,
a
Shri.
privilege to have you here. It's great to have a friend sitting in front of you in a couch and talking about women in leadership. Thank you.
And this is going to be really awkward, right? I mean, I really hope we pull it through
I know.
without really cracking really bad jokes and pull each other's
Legs.
Yes.
And here we are in our favorite saris,
Oh, yeah.
showcasing India's varied collection of
Yes.
saris. And
I think we need to have more
beautiful.
breaks. We can just do alongside fashion show of good saris. Do you think our producer will allow that?
It would be fun. We
Yeah.
should.
We should.
However,
And for
here
the
we are.
audience, this is my choice.
Yes.
This saree is my
absolutely.
choice. Yes. Thank you so much for wearing
And
this.
that one was a quick airport shopping.
Oh, yes.
And I
3.5 minutes.
3.5 minute shopping. I think only you can pull that off.
Yes. Guess so.
Good. So here we are to co-create a podcast where we can, for women, by women, for our future leaders, where women are still talking about the world or the corporate world being a man's world, being a patriarchal society. So I felt that I know a lot of women leaders who have broken these barriers, broken these myths, and I wanted to bring in the bold and beautiful and the fearless women into the podcast.
This is really interesting theme. I'm really happy to be here.
And who else
yes.
but you here?
No, it is not that. But genuinely, it is very important, very interesting. And I have been talking to so many women, especially young girls, and I think this is really required.
Yes.
So I'm really glad
Absolutely.
you have taken this initiative, Shri.
And thank you for taking time and being with us. So,
Always.
Shraddha, coming from a finance background, right, and now leading a tech company, I know you started with the tech company. Coming from a finance background and leading a tech company as a CEO and taking it to great heights, what has been that motivation all along to be in a space which is not your core expertise?
So, Shri, this entire journey has been really exciting. And to be very honest, nothing is really designed. I call myself accidental CEO. I never thought of walking this path. I was, as a young girl also, I was never particularly career oriented, in the sense of I always knew one works, right? I mean, for me, it is very natural for one needs to know how to cook, one needs to know how to earn and be independent, and one needs to be a whole human being. So when I started this journey, though my background was finance, I started doing the things which were required to be done. The need of an hour sort of led me to do what I landed up doing. And being part of a technology company, when I joined the organization, of course, I was in finance field. I was handling the accounts finance of some less than 100 people company. And very soon there was a dot-com burst. There was 9/11. The need was to do something else. There was nothing much to do in finance, to be very honest. At the same time, I realized my real love doesn't lie there. For me, I needed something with purpose. And I moved ahead in this technology company, understanding what is required to be done. Go sell, go deliver, take up marketing, take up branding, take up delivering on projects. I kept on doing that. And it so happened it is a technology space. And it excited me because people who worked in this technology company are extremely passionate people. And that fascinates me. That made a lot of sense to me. And that is the way I was driven to from finance to technology. But I would think that I did what I needed to do. And I enjoyed doing it. It made sense to me.
It makes absolute sense, right? People in the business development space growing into a career of CEO, that makes sense. At the same time, you need to hold that attention to detail, the intricacies of the technology when you are managing a team in that size. How do you do that? How did you get into that, making that your strength?
Shri, to be very honest, it's nothing to do with me, to be very honest. For me, I got my colleagues, my senior partner, he started the company. He's Shubham Mishra, he is BTech, MTech, IIT. There were other colleagues like with whom I worked very closely. Those are such brilliant teachers. Me as a student, I didn't have a choice. I had to listen. I loved listening to them because they were making a lot of sense. And they coming from such a brilliant background, they could explain technology in such a manner that a person who was completely newbie in that area, I could learn it. I could see the passion. I could see the spark in their discussions. And they, not for a moment, they acted as if I didn't understand. And that really gave me confidence about what they were saying. It started making sense. I had courage to ask questions. And when I had that courage, they were even more enthusiastic. So for me, that really, more than technology, I would say that passion drove me. And along with this, I will just take one more step and say that open source sensibilities, I learned from them. So one of the interesting thing which I learned very early in career is there is a world called open source. Of course, I didn't know anything before that. Proprietary software, open source software, and the ethos of what is open source software, that really attracted me. It is like we don't realize today, each of us, when we are using Android phone, when we are using some browser, when we are using Linux on our servers, even if not on laptops, all of these is open source. This is actually contribution by humankind. In fact, in one of the discussions I was having, it is like the world of, when we talk about world of men in terms of they bring in wars in the globe, right? They are the one who are responsible. Exactly opposite is something which I see in open source world. Everyone contributes without having their name attached to it. It is so beautiful and brilliant. And here I don't mean gender. What I mean is humankind. So war is one side and exactly opposite is open source. And I think it is a beautiful thing which I learned from my colleagues, my partners in the organization. And that really drove me. And I love that.
Sharing for a larger good, right? That's
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Sharing for a
Absolutely.
larger
We
good.
don't even say thank you. I mean, we say thank you to sun and moon and air. But honestly, what humans have done in terms of technology and making it open source, I think with the humans' limited capacity, probably they have really done best.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is very exciting.
And I think knowledge is to be shared, right? Without
Oh, yeah,
any hesitation
absolutely.
and to be grown. What are the whys you have turned into why nots?
I think if I have to answer in short, I would say I always thought myself as a problem solver. I see a problem, there is a why. In some sense, there is a kind of fatal attraction. Okay, I have to solve it. Just get out of my way. Let me see what is beyond this. And if I think like that, so as I mentioned, like I started in this company in finance field sometime in 2001, February 2001, and immediately, as I mentioned, there was dot-com buzz, there was 9/11. Uh, the problem started crashing in. I was yet another employee in the organization, but for me, it was like, oh, this is not making sense. It is like just too much mess. Let me clean it up. I started cleaning up finances, how to think about money. I started talking to the CEO, then CEO, other leaders. Then I understood, okay, what is required is sales. Like, okay, I had to learn that. So don't laugh at me. But okay, so now who will go to the market? Okay, we don't have too many people in sales. Okay, what can I do? Okay, do I need to write emails? Okay, do I need to call up people? And you won't believe, uh, we accounts people, finance people are inherently little loner. We are not outgoing kind. In 2 years down the line, I started making cold calls. And you won't believe, my highest number was, in one day I made 70 calls on this one after the other.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So, so yes, I mean that is my
Breaking your own barriers,
yeah.
right?
So I kept on like, why not? I mean, if somebody can do it, I can just learn a bit. And maybe you are very smart. You may do it in one day. I will require maybe 3 days. But who is in rush? I will do it. I sort of took away from my own mind, from my own comfort level, I took away the glory or the genius out of something in a way where I could find it approachable. Whether it was making a cold call or talking about technology or going and selling technology or delivering technology. So, yes, that is the way I mean, the way you are putting it, I turned why into why
Why
nots.
not?
Yeah.
So I remember me and Shraddha, when we started this Stanford Seed together, we were the first cohort, right, Shraddha?
Yes.
We were 8 women in that
Yeah.
cohort.
Yeah.
And
I remember
once we
that.
completed the program, I don't know whether you remember, I asked her, Shraddha, should we get into a women group, WhatsApp group? And remember, Shraddha, you asked me, why women WhatsApp group? We are all entrepreneurs. Why do you want
Oh,
to,
yes. Yeah.
just genderize it and say we are women and men group? Let's
Yeah.
all be in the same larger group.
Yes.
That somewhat hit me, and I said, wow, I love this. I love the way you saw we are just one and we are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Right. And we are all in this together. So there is no special learning for a woman or for a man, but we are all here together. And that was a huge inspiration for me.
Thanks.
Where that stem from?
The thing is, for me, the role you play, as I said, like it is a problem solving approach which drives me. Honestly speaking, being born, brought up in country like India, where it is a patriarchal society, I have been, to be very honest, very lucky. I won't take all the credit. I'm brought up in a family where gender discussion was non-existent. Uh, my mother always wanted girl child because she can always have long conversation. She was a talkative woman, and yeah. So
I know where you're getting it from.
oh yeah. Oh, we are not going to talk about that. So what happened is, when we were young, my parents never really talked about how girls behave, what women need to do. My mom was a teacher. She is, I mean, we are from Gujarati family. She was first generation working woman. She had fought her way through, but without really carrying much of baggage. So for us, there was no question of uh, talking about gender bias. I was the first girl in my hometown, I mean, my city, Thane, who was driving bike. Okay. My dad bought a bike for me. He taught me how to ride a bike, but there was never any conversation. First woman. It was never there. It was like, oh, you want to try a bike? Okay, why don't let's go and buy one. Why don't you try it? It was that easy conversation. It was never really based on gender. If you can drive it, you can learn it, Write it. Who's stopping you? If you want to do this or that, who is stopping you? So, gender consciousness was completely missing in my family. So, as I said,
Kudos to your
Shri,
parents then. Kudos
yeah,
to your parents.
totally.
You know,
I must
not
say that.
instilling that need to know that, oh, you're a girl, you have to behave in a certain way.
No,
You
yeah.
know, that's
My mom was
wonderful.
pretty forward, and she was always like, "Why you are coming to the kitchen? Anyone can learn to cook. You can learn cooking at some later date, when you need to. Otherwise, just don't bother.
I think
Go and play.
lot of moms need to hear that.
Go and play. Go and read. Do whatever. Don't come in the kitchen. Don't bother me." So I was like, "Yeah, cool. Who really wants?" Of course, that time you want to like, "Oh, okay, why she's pushing me away?" But yeah, then you realize the value of it.
How have you taken this experience, this whole upbringing, and implemented it in your organization as a culture?
Though I was brought up in this kind of environment, I was never allowed to be uh, not empathetic about real situation in the world around, in the society around. So my mother, my sisters, we will always talk about what are the real situations outside our family. Women do struggle. So thanks to that understanding, what happened is in the organization also, I have been little more favorable to women in terms of I do understand that they have certain challenges at home front. But at the same time, I will always say, like, okay, if you are earning, you really don't need to take responsibility of cooking all the time. You do as and when required, not all the time. It is not a archetype behavior you need to follow. You can break out of it and have a conversation. It is not about being rebel. It is about having a conversation in family. So some of those discussions I have had, women have appreciated, girls have really liked it. This thing I didn't only restrict it to talking about women. I could see there were guys who had certain family challenges, they had to take responsibility. So some of those things, in some sense, I would say empathy is the word, right?
Yeah. I also know that from our conversations, I know how you fiercely protect your employees and your team and everybody around you. And I've experienced it myself. You're a fiercely protective person. How has that played in your career, in your journey as developing yourself and evolving as a leader?
It has been one very important part for me. As I said, when I started my career in this organization, the need of hour was to go out and sell. Coming from finance background, I took it up. More recently, so that was my starting point, in some sense. And I learned technology, I learned even sales, I learned marketing, various aspects. And today, after 25 years of this journey, sometime in 2022, I think you started helping us out doing 360-degree review in our organization about what is the sentiment within the organization, what people need from leaders. And that was a super eye-opening experience. You have been part of it. You know how the volatile entire environment was for me. And you stood by me. You gave me a very strong perspective about how do I need to process it. You didn't process it for me, but you gave me direction, and it really was very important at that point. So I realized one thing during that period is our organization, who is built by technology people, with the idea of bringing in uh, brilliant technology to the clients, to the world around. Uh, I realized we were deviating from that. We were doing more like run of the mill services setup, and it was not really attractive. So suddenly something woke up when we were having multiple conversations over like weeks, I think. And I realized I need to do what I need to do as a CEO. When uh, Shubham, who started this organization, who entrusted me with a position, I cannot deviate from the original idea or purpose of the organization. And I tried to bring it back. And it came out with a big bang. We launched Project Shakti in the same year.
I know.
Next year, we came up with complete transformation program. And as they say, like when you have intention, world starts responding to you.
Absolutely.
And
True that.
that's what happened. And with the idea of protecting the original ethos, original purpose of the organization, that drive started. And today, here we are.
Yeah, I know. Project Shakti
Yes.
was an amazing, and I thank you for inviting me for that launch. And it was so beautiful to see Shraddha's organization transform from a caterpillar to a butterfly, I should say. Right?
Yes,
And
almost. Yes, it was really major transformation
yeah, it
journey. Yes.
was. And I still remember the day when we did the 360 and you were like very quiet, contemplating, looking at the feedback. And I'll tell you what inspired me. I had a learning that day. You said, Shri, if this is the feedback, then I'm doing something wrong because my intention is not this.
Right.
Then what do I need to do to bring out my intention well out there? And you said, then I need to do something totally different to bring out my intention, to deliver or manifest that intention I have, or the objective and the vision I have. And you totally transformed. And that is what that Project Shakti was all about. And then the Remiges technology was all about. It was like a beautiful transformation and evolution. I'll never forget that. Not deterring away from that feedback and saying, oh my God, how can people give feedback like this? What not going downhill. You just took it up and rose.
See, you didn't give me much choice. Let's be very honest. You were, no, Shraddha, you have to look at it. You have to understand this is the true feedback. And this is feedback. You cannot say, how can they give feedback? So, no, I will not take very kindly of this. Yes, you push me, but yes, I do agree. I had to see for what it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, the journey was exciting. It was, I mean, I was very nervous. You
Yes,
know
you were.
that. I tried to understand. I almost like there were moments when I hated you, like why you are talking about this and why you are like bringing this up
Yeah.
and how much change are you expecting from me, And but thanks a lot for what you did. You had to do what you did. I had to accept what you said, and it was a beautiful journey. It
Yeah,
has been a exciting
and
one.
I think it was also because of the relationship we had
Of
that,
course.
we could do it. I mean, could I go and do it with any client or any corporate? I don't think so. But I think our relationship was also
Yes.
a base foundation for what
That makes
happened
a
between
difference.
us. But at the same time, to look at that feedback and stand with courage, right? That is not my job. My job was only to show you the mirror.
Yeah.
But to take that with courage and stand boldly and say, I'm going to change this,
Yeah.
that was
Right.
yours.
But you know what, Shri? I suddenly realized when we are talking, in some sense, it also brought out. So we are friends, okay? That helped a lot.
Yeah.
You can't take that away. But at the same time, I think it is partly women bonding,
Yeah.
which really helped.
Very nice.
I am sure I'm very well connected. I'm quite close to a lot of other people with whom I'm working. They can give me feedback very openly. But there is one level of extra comfort, and it is not really, and I think there is something to do with gender, and that is like woman power or women connect.
Oh, nice. Nice to hear that from you, by the way. The same friend who told me that there is no man or woman here, we are all entrepreneurs now.
But it
to hear
does.
that, it's really heartwarming.
Yeah,
That
I
makes
think
me
so,
emotional
yeah.
too.
But it is true. I do think about that occasionally. Like, no, it couldn't have been otherwise.
That's
So
great.
yeah.
So great. What would be that uniqueness that you bring as a woman leader?
Now you are asking me more difficult question. Mm, honestly, if I think about, I see leadership as a leadership. I see my role when I'm talking to people, I'm whether inside the organization, outside the organization, I see myself first as a human being. I try to think about what is required to be done or what the other person is, what is the person's background. And I would say, as a woman leader, I still don't see myself like that very clearly. I might have, I'm pretty sure I would have taken some decisions like that, uh, which would typical male leader might not have taken. But at the same time, I still won't say that that is the space I operate from.
Now that is one nice seed you sowed there. What a male leader would not have taken. What is that, Shraddha?
I think women leader
Mm-hmm.
probably have less ego.
Hmm.
They are more open to change.
Okay.
And probably I see it as more like a feminine quality. I'm not sure, but it's just a thought I'm putting on the table. What do you think?
There is
You have
also a
interacted.
perception that women are emotional, women are very protective, they like to control things. So it's very nice to hear this, by the way. I'm sure the audience are going to love it. Because that's the usual perception, and that's one common perception that comes out. But it's very nice to see that you have a very, and I'm not surprised that you
Mhm.
have a very different, unique perspective that you bring to the table. And
Yeah.
that's great. And that's truly great. Now that we are speaking of perspectives, the Gen Z coming into the picture, another very controversial space.
Yes.
There are two opinions out there like, oh, Gen Zs are awesome, and some like, oh my God, Gen Zs are very difficult to work with. I work with a couple of, more than a couple of Gen Z leaders, I should say, and I am having a great time. They are amazing. And we are also trying to bring in a project where we want to understand this. Where is this stemming from that Gen
Mhm.
Zs are very difficult to work with? And I'm sure that you have a whole array of different Gen Z's
Absolutely.
out there whom you are
Absolutely.
working and interacting with. What's your experience?
Mm, Shri, here it is a mixed bag for me. Um, I have seen a wider spectrum. I'm in a technology space, right? Um, we always have freshers just out of college coming in, joining our organization. And when I look at that, I see, I will say kids, Gen Z, as you say, it is a wide spectrum. People coming from class B, class C cities. I see people coming from more privileged background in terms of urban like Bombay, Delhi. I have seen uh, largely even Gen Z is as hardworking
Yes.
as honestly what I used to hear my parents talk about hard work. I have engineers in our team. They work 12 hours,
Hmm.
weeks after weeks. It is not one day, not 2 days. It's not like a temporary 10 days assignment. Okay, you have to work for 12 days and you are going to get some brilliant reward or award. Nothing. It is
Hmm.
just sheer hard work, weeks after weeks. And they have delivered brilliantly. These are high pressure projects. These are the kind of projects they are handling. Lots of people, clients are breathing down their neck. We are breathing down their neck.
Hmm.
And they are working like crazy. And they love it.
Hmm.
It is not only that there is a pressure.
Yeah.
It is like they are embracing it. They
Hmm.
see that this is a growth path. This is something what they are excited about. And so I really don't know when people talk about Gen Z being this and that in a little bit of a negative light.
Hmm.
Honestly, my experience has not
Has
been
been
like
very
that.
different.
Very different, yeah.
Nice. That is good.
Yeah.
That's very encouraging, and I'm sure it's a very positive takeaway for many who are listening to this conversation. Ready to go for a rapid fire, Shraddha?
Oh, wow. Okay.
If not a tech CEO, what would you have been?
I would have been just a traveler, just not doing anything.
Okay.
Trust me. I would have been just moving around, taking my bike,
Mm-hmm.
traveling from one part of the country to another, and that's it.
I I I
I would
I
love
can believe that. Yeah. And which is your favorite destination so far?
Himalayas.
Himalayas?
Yes, always. Mountains.
Great.
Mountains are calling.
One word to describe your leadership style.
I drive things with purpose.
Mm.
So if I don't see a purpose, I'm not there. I can't handle it. And that purpose has to be intrinsic. It is not external parameters. For me, it has to make sense. I have to make it mine. Only then can I lead, I can drive, I am motivated to move on.
So your leadership style is to lead with purpose.
Yes.
Beautiful. Most underrated skill every leader should have.
I would say curiosity.
Hmm.
One of the things I see in leaders is they come with very strong conviction that things are like this, world is like this, employees are like this, clients are like this, vendors are like that. Okay, my accounts team is like this, my HR team is like that. There is too much of already bought in ideas, and using that, people drive their entire entrepreneurial journey. Whereas I think it is not right. I personally have gained a lot by being curious. I want to hear more. A new person in one particular function, I want to hear how that person wants to deal with that function, how that person wants to handle it. And I'm there to guide, or I'm there to have a conversation. But yeah, so I think curiosity
Yeah,
is
that's a
like,
great,
yeah,
great
yeah.
treat to have. One piece of advice for aspiring women leaders out there.
Ah, that is very interesting. I would say don't think about limitations. Don't think about um, problems. Don't put yourself in victimhood. Just go and do it. Do your best. And that is the best.
Okay.
That's it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a good advice. Okay, quick ones. Cat or dog?
Both.
Both? Thank you. I know you
I'm an animal person. So, yes, give me anyone. I am like very happy.
I know you have a dog as your pet.
Yes. I
Yeah.
used to have cats.
Cats too, right?
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes,
know.
yes.
Good. Suit or sari?
Always sari. Yes.
Tea or coffee? Or a power
Both.
nap?
Okay, power nap.
Okay.
I mean, at this age, what do you expect me to choose? Always power nap.
Thank you, Sharab. I want to end this with one last question. You spoke about driven by purpose. You spoke about curiosity. You spoke about your childhood, your upbringing, and I know you personally, and that you are a voracious reader. And there are many books out there that has inspired you or shaped the way you have built yourself or raised yourself. So I want you to share your your learnings from those books that has inspired you and how you have shaped it, and what would you like to share with the audience? What would be the few lessons that you would like to share with the audience as takeaway?
Okay, you have caught me in a little bit of a tight spot here. I love reading books. Of course, these days it has reduced a bit. Uh, but I must confess, I'm a very reluctant reader of any management books. My own understanding of my work, I see it as part of life. Whether I go to mountains or when I need to handle any difficult situation in a boardroom. For me, both these things are challenging. And for me, what inspires me is not something which is coming from a structure, something which is coming from a management book. It comes from life experiences. So some of the best books I have ever read are travelogues. When people travel, the kind of challenges they face, the kind of people they meet, the kind of uh, introspections they uh, land up doing, reflection upon the whole life, and I think those are the places from where I get my answers. So that is the way it is. Yeah.
It need not necessarily be management
Yeah.
books,
Yeah.
and our inspiration can come from anywhere.
I mean, I have read management books, but very few. But my point is, inspiration comes from somewhere else.
Exactly.
Not really. Yeah.
And like you said, life experience. Nothing can teach you
Absolutely.
better than your life experience.
Yes.
What would be few takeaways for our audience that you would like to share as your advice?
When I think in terms of entrepreneurship, being a leader, I think what is required is largely just courage. And you can, obviously, you're going to go wrong. not once, not twice, hundreds of times. The number of time you will try to get up, the same number of time you are going to fall. And you will still get up, you will still go ahead. And that requires tenacity, it requires courage. And it requires what else you are going to do anyway. Okay, if not this, that, right? I mean, we have to do something. So you choose this path of climbing, and just move on. I
And
think
enjoy
that's
the journey.
and enjoy the journey. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that is the right thing, you know.
Yeah. Enjoy
Yeah.
the journey.
And enjoy the fall too.
And yeah. And rise.
Yes,
Rise like a phoenix.
absolutely,
Yeah. Keep rising.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Shri, I have one question before we wind up.
Okay.
What will you call your leadership style? I know you are a brilliant leader. I have seen your journey to be one of the really tough ones
Mhm.
with so many ups and downs in your starting from health, your own career path. Now, you tell me two things about yourself and your leadership style.
I think my leadership style has evolved greatly. And now I would call that I'm in a very transformative leadership style path,
Mhm.
an adaptive leadership style. The every style, there's no right wrong on any of the styles. However, leadership is to lead by inspiring. Are we inspiring for people to evolve, to change, to follow?
Mm.
You know, as a leader, you're not a leader if you don't have a follower,
Yes.
right? And to have a follower, you need to inspire. And to inspire, you need to have those innate value system. Like you said, the purpose that is driving you. So if we are able to lead with purpose, if we are able to communicate that well, understand not in a very aggressive way or in a commanding way, but in a very um, empathetical, passionate way where it makes sense. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But if it makes sense, come on, join the journey, right?
Yes.
I think that is where I have evolved myself too. And I think this initiative, thanks to all of you for participating in this, is also to inspire. We as women, it has not been an easy journey, right?
Yep.
It has never. Like when you speak about health issues,
Oh, yes.
half our life goes in dealing with our hormones, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can't run away from it.
You can't run away from it.
We try, but we don't succeed. We know that.
We keep trying.
Yes.
So, and embracing ourselves and loving ourselves for who we are and picking that as our strength and raising
Oh, yes.
and standing tall and strong, bold and beautiful, courageous,
Absolutely.
to just inspire.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really like to hear that.
I didn't expect the question to come to me.
No, but
The
I think it
podcast
is
was
very
for you.
important. No, but I think it is just about a conversation, and you make sense to me. And when you are when you are explaining your style, for me also it is constantly building blocks. It is not like just, okay, this is it, So, yeah.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
that. And hopefully, together, we achieve this mission of inspiring women out there,
Oh, yes.
to lead
Absolutely.
courageously, right?
I-
With vulnerability, with authenticity, and without any hesitancy. Enjoy the ride.
yes.
Thank you. Shweta.
Thank you. Thank you, Shri. It was lovely.